Okay, so I've recently had a question. Someone on Facebook asked me about how to take apart the clock and lube it. Well, I recently just lubed this one, but before the panel, like this plastic panel thing that's covering up everything, had these white spot because I lubed it with CRC, but I took this clock part, swapped out the covering between these two clocks. This one is old and not really working that well. I'm not gonna be using it in this video, but basically what you're definitely gonna need is lube, preferably differential fluid, a knife, super glue, and a pretty small screwdriver, using the one off of this multi-tool. So the very first step is the hardest, like literally hardest. Earlier when I did this last night, I actually cut myself a little bit. Now in the past, when I've been modding cubes, or I've been using knives on cubes to take them apart or to mod them, the knife slipped and cut me very deeply, enough that it actually made a bunch of blood gush out, but this time it was nothing that big of a deal. So basically what you want to do is take your knife, spread it through these cracks on the side. Be very careful about it. You don't want to break the entire puzzle and stuff like that, and you don't want to hurt yourself. Basically, once you crack it open, you would definitely see it being open. Now, since this is recently broken open, it's not that super hard for me, but the very first time you try it and do this, it's gonna be harder. And this very first step is the trickiest. I mean the trickiest in most dangerous way, because knife can slip and break, knife can slip and cut yourself and stuff like that. So yeah, once you got it, once you've broken open all four of those seams, you should be able to lift up the cover, like so, and take off both covers. If the inserts come off with the panel, that's no big deal. It's depending on which model you have. Like if you have one of the older yellow pinned ones, or one of the newer yellow or the newer blue pin clocks, like I do. I think, if I can remember, the older yellow pin clocks have 4 screws, while the newer green blue pin clocks have 2 screws. Like, there's a screw in one in these. You have to take off these panel inserts first, and look to see where it has those holes. And then you have to unscrew it with the screwdriver, like so, and then yeah, take it all off, like so. Be careful not to lose any parts. And so, basically, since I pre-lubed this already, some of the stuff is sticking to this because of the lube acting like adhesive a little. Earlier when I lubed it, I just I took off like all these pieces so that the spring is exposed right here. And then basically what I did was I dropped some lube onto the springs and then some on the bottom of the gears that are on the bottom part. And yeah, so you do that, and then when you're putting together this, doesn't matter what position the single colored gear would be in, because those ones don't really affect the solution that much, because they get scrambled up anyway. And if you rotate any of the corner, any of these four corners pieces, that might end up screwing up your clock and making it unsolvable. So let's get this back together. Be very careful not to lose any of the parts. So yeah, make sure that when you have it, all these black rings are on the pins before you actually. There should be two per pin, like one on top and one on bottom of the gear part of it. And then when you're putting it back together, make sure you get it so that these screws wouldn't match up to the screw hole part. And once you're doing that, you can then work around getting these pins into the hole. And then once you get it back together, all you have to do is just screw it back in. And once you get it all lined up and all the gears are in good position, yeah, and then basically take your screwdriver, screw back in the screws, tighten them all the way down, and yeah, if you happen to have gears that turn out to be like that, you can just push them back into place because of, one, the spring is there and it helps it go around, stuff like that. Both of the all of the clocks have exactly the same mechanism. Same mechanism, same size, same everything, except for the panel insert are sort of broken. They're not broken, but they're printed a little differently with different logos and some other stuff. Yeah, you put down your insert in and then put the cover over the insert stuff, like so. Flip this over. Get your super glue. Put some super glue around these pins, peg holes and stuff, around there, around there, around there, around there, And then, once you get that in, get that done, work and snap it in. Yeah, work on it, snap it in to place. But sometimes when you're taking your clock apart, those pegs that hook up these type of pegs may snap off and be left in those holes, but make sure that you line it up so that the cut parts are lined up pretty evenly and good enough. And then press this together. Take your super glue once again. Pour some glue around the seams like so to help glue it together some more. And sometimes you might even need to press down on the seam area some even more. Yeah. But make sure that you have it so that the inserts are not misplaced, that they're in the correct position. I actually accidentally misplaced this light blue insert, so I need to take this more apart and then fix it once again. And then put it back together. And yeah, there you go. You should have a fully working loop clock. Yeah. And if you place in these crossed these edge and center clocks, it doesn't matter if you place them incorrectly, but at least you should have these corners in the solved position, so that you know that you would have a working clock, a solvable clock.